Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome into yet another live show here on a wonderful post 4th of July Monday night. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July weekend. Got some sun. I did. I've got the sunglasses tan thing going on both sides. So we had a good time, but we have plenty to discuss here on tonight's show. So let's get you to our wonderful host, Denny Barlow. Denny, good evening.
Good evening to you, Seth, and good evening to everybody out there. And welcome to What the Hell Are You Smoking? Tonight's show is a little bit about, I'm giving some shout outs. And I can't believe it, but Jesse has come up with the very best one-liner that I've heard since last year when she had, I don't know if you guys know this, but she was on with Soda Pod, and she was talking about somebody, and she called them old hairy balls. That was the best line I heard last year. And now this year, Jesse was talking about nicknames for the X, and she came up with the G-spot. And folks, if you don't watch her show, you really have to go look at it because there's a bunch of remarks, and they're just hilarious. And I picked one out. It's from Sean 374. And he goes, you can't call it the G-spot because no one will ever find it. It just blows me away. It's just hilarious. So really, if you're not a fan of Jessie, she's good hockey people. You really it's the July 1st show. It's just a 5-minute deal, but it's hilarious. You should see all the remarks. I mean, God. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Then I'm giving Big Bear a shout out. We got somebody new on board here who knows his hockey, and I'm impressed. And I just want to thank you for coming on and leaving your comments. You definitely know your hockey. And like I said, I give you a shout out. I'm sorry I forgot last week, but you're getting it now. And then I'm going to give you my views on what I see in the NHL, what's going on. And then we're going to talk about the Wild and the lineup and Kaprizov contract. Where should I go first?
Well, let's start with the NHL stuff and kind of pull it back into the Wild at the end.
Okay, sounds good. Well, what I'm seeing with the NHL right now, and I can tell you this, I'm going to be the first to say it. I think Connor McDavid gets traded. After his last, what do you call it, Seth, when you did that little short deal talking about he's going to take some time to think about it?
Oh, his little postseason exit interview thing.
Yeah, well, it was just a couple days ago. And he said he has to think about it now. Well, for Edmonton, you have to understand 28% of their cap money goes to Draisaitl and McDavid. And you can't have a winning team that'll win the cup with two players getting all the money, because that leaves nothing for your bottom six. And if you watched it, you know that their third line absolutely just killed Edmonton, and they had no answer for it. And if you recall, a couple of years ago when Colorado won the cup, it was the same situation the year after. They fell off the table simply because when your star players take all the money, it doesn't leave much for the bottom six. And what you're looking at is a bunch of entry-level contracts and hoping that one or two will actually do some good. And most times they don't. The Stars got to start rethinking if they really want to win a cup. They got to leave a couple million on the table so they can help the bottom six out. And after looking at a lot of the teams for Connor McDavid trade, I picked Anaheim for a couple of reasons. Edmonton needs a goalie, and Dostal in Anaheim is a hell of a goalie. And he just filed for arbitration. And you got Troy Terry, and you got Gavin McTavish.
Mason McTavish.
Mason McTavish, yes. And those three right there would definitely make Edmonton better. And that doesn't include the picks or the other players you're going to get from the trade, but you have to ask yourself, is Edmonton a better team with McDavid or without him? And with that trade scenario, Edmonton's a better team without him. And going out to Anaheim, of course, they'll put the big spin on it, and we're going for the cup, and it'll be a win-win for everybody. But I see McDavid get traded. I don't know necessarily who. I'm sure the Rangers are going to put their 2 cents in. But Anaheim has the money. They have the assets. And Edmonton will be a better team without McDavid. It's just plain and simple. And as far as for the 5 and 6 year contracts and the 7 at the most, it's a good thing for the players, not so much for the teams, and I'll tell you why. And this is one thing that Billy does well. When he re-signed all our core players, and if you look at their value, what they are now, do you have a sheet on that stuff where you can pull up?
I can grab it here.
Yeah, why don't you? To show you an example of why long-term contracts for the teams is better for the team than for the player. Because, last week I brought up that Marner was looking for a 2-year deal at $14 million. Of course, he signed in Vegas and got all the money. I don't know how Vegas keeps doing it, but they got the Magic Man who I don't know how he does it, but I sure wish we could hire him because he comes up with some beauty moves.
I'll tell you how they do it, Denny. It's because their general manager treats their roster like a business as opposed to
A family.
He treats it more like a business than a team.
Yes, I agree. I agree completely. And get any yet?
I'm still. It's on the Athletic. Here we go. Central. Okay, so I can go. So, for instance,
do Brody, Spurgeon, Faber. I mean, do all our core players that are signed long term. And you're going to see their AAV, while they're paying them or what they're worth, is much better for the team.
So, for instance, Kirill Kaprizov on his current $9 million per year AAV, he is generating a value of $13.7 million.
There you go.
So there's plus 4.7. Matt Boldy on his $7 million deal is generating $10.2 million of value.
There you go.
Joel Eriksson Ek on his $5.3 million. Wait, is it? Oh, no, never mind. $5.3 million. He is generating value at $10.1 million.
There you go. It just keeps adding up. And that's a good thing for the team. And that's why long-term contracts, when they're done right, are such a big advantage for long-term for the teams. And what I see happening, when Marner said he's only going to sign a 2-year deal, that really got me to thinking. That's not a good thing. You know, this raising of the cap is really going to bite the NHL in the butt in the coming years. It really is. Not only is it going to raise the ticket prices, which you know where my stance is on that. I mean, the blue collar family can only afford to go to one game a year now. It's getting ridiculous. You know, they need to have 5,000 seats just for blue collar families that spend $200 and the family gets to go and enjoy and get to do all the good things. But of course, that'll never happen. And getting to Kaprizov. Now, you know, last week I asked anybody if they had any ideas on how we could get Kaprizov more involved. And a couple of you respond with by making him the captain. Well, I'm not kidding. I thought about it. And I went to bed and I was saying, I woke up in the middle of the night. I mean, I jumped up out of bed and I said, oh my God, I got it. And I checked to make sure because, you know, last week I was going to give you a deal that's illegal. So why even talk about it? I should have actually told you that, but I didn't, and I'm sorry. But here we go. We signed Kaprizov to a player-coach contract. That's right, player-coach. Last time it was done is 1979 with Bobby Clark in the Philadelphia organization where he later became GM. That's the last time it was done, but it's still legal. I checked, and we can do it right now. Now, what better way to sign Kaprizov long-term than to sign him up for his 8 years as a player and another 7 years as a coach? I mean, you're talking about the 5th best player in the world. He's got a lot to teach. You know, and as Seth brought up, maybe he doesn't want to do that. Well, the reason I'm thinking he probably will is Kaprizov actually talked to Tarasenko about coming and playing for the Wild, which I don't think he's ever done before. So that tells me he really cares. And that's what you want. I mean, if we can sign Kaprizov for 15 years, we should do it. Because honestly, one of the best players in the world, and when he's done, you know, the biggest thing about players when they retire is they miss the camaraderie of being around the team. And maybe I'm way off on this. Maybe Kaprizov doesn't want anything to do with it. But I have a feeling he does. And the first thing I would do by give him a contract for player coach is I would have him be in charge of making the lineups. Players know more than anybody who should be playing where and how many minutes they get. And what better way to let Kaprizov move in and stake his claim to the team than by making the lineups? Because as for you who don't know, Hines I think is very weak on lineup combinations. And that would certainly serve us well. And by doing that, Kaprizov is involved. And now I don't know, you can take some time to think about it and give me your comments at the end of the show, because I like to know your thoughts on it. But I really think it's a win-win for everybody. And be interesting to see what you all have to say, because I'm telling you, it can be done. It should be done. And as you know, we got a bunch of kids coming in. And Hines, I believe, is going to do everything he can to not play the kids. You know, I've gone over this 100 times, but he doesn't like the kids. He doesn't trust them. He has said so several times. And this would be a good way for Kaprizov to start his coaching career. And I'm serious about this. I really think the Wild should do it. It's a win for the Wild, and it's a win for Kaprizov. What more can you ask for? What else? Let's get to the roster as it is right now. You want to pull up the box?
Yeah. Let me go here. Gonna just zoom this out slightly. All right, we've got at least according to the Daily Face-Off, what the lineup looks like at this point, which has Kaprizov, Eriksson, Zuccarello, Boldy, Rossi, Tarasenko, Ogren, Yurov, Hartman, Foligno, Sturm, Trenyan.
All right, now let's put up mine. So I can go over this, and I'll explain to you why I think these are better than what's shown there.
Did you give me your lineup?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have it.
Well, I got it anyway, so I'll just go over it. My first line is Kaprizov, Rossi, and Zuggs, and I feel so good to be able to pencil in Rossi. They're not going to trade him now because they screwed up. I've never seen a GM demote a player to increase his value to trade him, and that's exactly what he did. And it's such a good thing that he did that because now I got him penciled in. First line with Kaprizov and Zuggs, and I got to tell you, I don't know how many are brand new to the show, but I think Rossi's going to be an 80-point player this year, and I'll tell you why. Anytime you're playing with Kaprizov, you're worth at least 10 more points a half. First half of the season, last half, he was at 60 last year. He's going to be at 80 this year. And when you score 80 points, it's pretty hard to not keep him. I mean, Billy would lose his job over doing stuff like that. And that's what this whole thing is about. And Zuggs, at least for the first half of the show, or the first half of the season, I don't mind putting him up there because, he's still a 50-point player, but age catches up with everybody. And I can see by the halfway point, moving him down and moving up somebody else. For the second line, I got Boldy, Yurov, and Tarasenko. And with Tarasenko, you got to look at it this way. Before he hurt his shoulder in St. Louis, he was a premier sniper in the league. And he loves to shoot the puck. And what did we miss last year on the second line? Well, we had Mojo not doing anything, maybe one shot a game. That'll definitely change Tarasenko. I mean, his whole idea is shooting the puck, and we sorely missed that on the second line last year. And if he can get 20 points first half, 20 points second half, I'm good with that. Because, Boldy and Yurov, I think that's going to be a very, very nice line combination. It's going to be something that other teams, they will not be able to concentrate on our first line. Now they got to deal with Yurov and Boldy and Tarasenko. For my third line, I got the Grief line back. I got Ek, Hartman, and Foligno. What better third line could you have than that? And that shows the depth of the Wild by doing this. We had the Grief line. They only let 5 goals in, 5-on-5 the whole year. I don't ever see that happen again. I've never seen it in 6 years of hockey. But they did for 1 year, and it was a magical line. And I'm hoping to kind of create that with Ek, Hartman, and Foligno. Our fourth line, I got Olgren, Nico, Sturm, and Trenyan. And the reason I got Trenyan is because, that's what I got to play with. And Nico is, I think, an exceptionally good hire. It's the one thing that I really like that Billy did. Nico knows his job. And I think Billy mentioned, he's won a couple cups. He knows his position. He's learned a lot. And I think he's going to be a hell of an addition. In fact, if we could get back to Duo Brothers, I'm all in on that because our fourth line then would be spectacular. But that's who I got. Olgren, Nico, and Trenton. Olgren, it's the only place left on the team. And that doesn't mean he stays there, but to start out. And when I mean start out, I mean the first 20 games. You have to give each of these lines 20 games before you start making changes, especially for Tarasenko, to see what he got, what he brings to the table. Any less than that is kind of an injustice. I mean, 20 games doesn't kill you either way, but it definitely gives you an idea what he brings to the table. And of course, for defense, I got Faber, Middleton. I got Zeke Bullion with Brodin. The reason I have those two together is because they both skate like the wind. Brodin's the best skater on the team. He's one of the very best skaters in NHL, period. And Zeke isn't far behind him. And those two together, ooh, that's going to be a dangerous combination. Then I got Spurgeon and Jurasek for the bottom. That's not a bad bottom. That's an excellent bottom. And who better than to have Spurgeon watch out for Jurasek? I mean, he's a rookie, he's a kid, and he's going to make mistakes, but who better to cover him up than Spurgeon? He reads the ice so well, and it's the perfect time. You know, I've seen a lot of people comment that they want to move Spurgeon and Brodin. Not this year. You want to put the kids in a position to succeed. And who better than Spurgeon and Brodin to be your teachers out on ice? And I sincerely mean that. You want to put the kids in a position so if they make a mistake, their partner's covering up for them, because it's certainly going to happen, but you couldn't have two better players to do that. And that puts them in a position to succeed. And that's what I'm looking for. Then next year, you know, we got Lambos and Spacek. So, you know, you can look at next year without Spurgeon and Brodin gone, you got Carson Lambos and Spacek taking the bottom. That's still, right now, I think our defense is top 3 in the NHL. And then when you add Gus Bus and Wallstead, I think that's going to be the best 1-2 goalie tandem in the league, period. I really do. You know, a lot of people are having questions about Wallstead. Well, you got to look at how they treated the kid coming out of the gate. 3 goalie system, moving him up and down from Iowa. That's the worst thing you can do to a goalie, especially a kid. Just get, you know, he's getting ready to play, and all he does is travel from Iowa up to here and back. Not a good way to do it, as we discussed last year. But when you look at this team, the way it's designed right now with Rossi, this is a damn dangerous team. The only question mark, of course, is Tarasenko and how Olgren's going to do. But you know what? We have the assets. We got people down in Iowa. Like I'm really waiting to see how much strength Riley Heidt has gained, because I'm extremely high on him. The same with Riley Heidt. I really like him too. You know, we got some players down there, so if somebody falters, we can bring up some kids. And the whole thing with Hines not playing the kids, well, he's going to be forced to. And Kirill, please think about doing this. What better way to take over the team than by making the lineups? It would help so much. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to say I'm nuts, but you know what? I've been called that a lot, and I'm normally right. And I'll give you an instance. Last year at the halfway point, I said it was going to take 96 points to make the playoffs. Not 97, not 98, 96. And Seth, what happened?
They got in with that exact number.
Exactly. So it's just, you know, what watching hockey for as long as I've watched it, I look at little things, and not on my show, but on 2 years ago on Seth's show, before the start of the season, I said Dino would be fired before the All-Star break. And everybody, not one person agreed with me. And I had a lot of nasty remarks on that. Look at, the story, what happened. And that's because I look at the people's reactions, body reactions. I mean, it all comes into effect when you're out on the ice and you see a player turn his head and look at the coach one way or another. All those things count. And I look at that stuff because it really does mean a lot. Body language tells me a lot. And, just it is what it is. Any questions so far?
Well, a couple people are kind of curious as to the better Oilers better without Connor McDavid. And I'll throw in the caveat here that they wouldn't obviously have Connor McDavid on the top end, but it would allow them the opportunity to be deeper. A
lot deeper. With a goalie. Dassel's an up-and-coming star. I mean, he's going to be around for a long time. The kid's got a lot of talent. His glove hand is exceptional. He's got really good reflex. He's a kid. And when you look at Edmonton, losing McDavid, that's 100 points minimum, right? Well, Troy Terry's had 27 goals. He was 54, 55 points. And Gavin had 52 or 53, so that kind of makes up for it in that way. And then you got to look at the depth that they're going to pick up, plus the picks. Would Edmonton be better? I think they would be, honestly, because Edmonton needs a goalie, and there's not much out there. And it's just a thought. I mean, who knows? But I definitely think McDavid gets traded because Edmonton now knows that they're top heavy. Their bottom six is pretty weak, and they have no goalie, which showed for the last 2 years. Yeah. Any comments, questions? I mean, this is your time, fans.
Let's go to Jay. He says, I'd rather overpay on another 5-year deal for Kaprizov. At 35, 36, he's going to be worn down.
Yeah, 8-year contract puts him at 35, isn't it? Doesn't it?
Yeah, he's 20. Oh, boy. Catching me off guard here.
27, I thought.
Yeah, I think he's 27.
Yeah, so I'd put him at 35, and that's my date. Players are in such good shape today that, back in the 80s, if you hit 30, you were pretty much done. Now it's 35 because they're in such good shape. And back in the 70s and 80s, players came to training camp to get into shape. Well, now they work out year round, and it really makes a big difference. And of course, you can't say it across the board, but it's 35 is a good number now for a cutoff point. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule. I mean, look at Zuggs. Look at Burns, who just signed another 1-year deal with Colorado. I mean, some players, their time clock for their body hasn't slowed down that much. But believe me, when it hits hard. And that's why I think Zuggs is okay for at least a half a season up on the first line. Well, we'll see. Next.
Let's go to Big Bear. He says, should the Wild think about LTIR for Brodin and save him for playoff time, use his $6 million to help facilitate a trade for a top-tier guy?
Say that one more time.
So basically, Big Bear's wondering if, since Jonas Brodin is going to get injured, although the update that I heard from Russo is that they expect Brodin is going to miss a couple of weeks is all. At the start of the season. But if he were to get injured, use LTIR, since this will be the last year that you can use it in the capacity that teams have been.
Right.
Use LTIR to add in somebody else in addition to the 10 plus million that they have in cap space right now.
Well, Minnesota doesn't use the LTIR like most teams, especially like Vegas, who takes advantage of, and even though they're saying they're changing it, let's see what the GMs come up with how to get around it. Vegas is pretty smart that way. And before you can say what they can do and what can't do, you got to look at what they're doing and how to overcome it. That's how it all started in the first place. Because I can tell you, the owners love the LTIR, especially the teams that spend the money. Now, it wouldn't mean much for San Jose or Chicago or Anaheim that aren't spending any money. But only missing 2 weeks, you wouldn't be eligible to be put on the LTIR. And Minnesota would never do it.
I believe the number is 10 games and 24 days for LTIR.
10 games now? Okay.
And 24 days. You have to hit both.
Okay.
For LTIR.
Well, if he's only missing 2 weeks, that doesn't come close to fitting LTIR then. I haven't looked at the new players agreement yet. I was so pissed that they did not address the refs and the slew foots. Last week I told you about it was a Minnesota North Star who he didn't die in the ice. He actually died 2 days later in the hospital. But they didn't wear hockey. They didn't have any headgear back when I started watching hockey, and it took that for the NHL to change it. And I would want you to think about this. What happens? Now let's take Spurgeon, for example. That slew foot he got. What if he was 4 feet closer to the boards and went face first into the boards? What the hell would happen then? Terrible things can happen from a slew foot. And they're not doing anything about it. And it's the players, you have to address this. The owners don't care. Otherwise, they would have banned it a long time ago. It's such a dangerous position to be in. And it doesn't happen now, but it should never, ever. And anyway, getting back to his name was Bill Masterson. And of course, they've got a trophy out there for him now. But, got hit the back of his head, and that was it. He was all done. Died 2 days later in the hospital, never woke up. But that's what it took for the NHL to put in helmets. And I hope to God that it doesn't happen to somebody in the NHL right now getting a slew foot, going into the boards face first, head first. What could happen there? It would be gruesome. But I think that's what it would take, because the players are not addressing this. And players, you have to be addressing this because the owners aren't. Next.
Big Bear was more referencing to use it when Brodin inevitably gets hurt during the season.
Well, I'll see what happens. He may not get hurt this year. You don't know. I mean, we can probably put that he's going to get hurt. But 10 games, 24 days, that's a month. We'll see what happens, because right now I think he's got a muscle tear. And when you think back to Matt Dumba, when he got his muscle tear, what happened to him? He was never the same player. And, of course, they don't tell you what's wrong with him, but I'm just, this is all conjecture on my part. But I think he's got a muscle tear in the chest or, somewhere up high. But to go on the LTIR for a month, well, if we could do it, I would certainly use it. But have to see what the injury is first and how long he's going to be out. I mean, that's a lot of ifs. We'll get to that when it happens and see what happens.
So Brodin had surgery. So
Yep.
he is in recovery mode at this point.
And it's taken him how long to recover from it?
Well, and
1,
furthermore,
2.
why didn't the surgery happen right when the season was done?
Yeah, that's another good question.
From what I gather, it was an injury that happened. It was just an injury, like a training or a practice injury that happened. So I don't know. The amount of mysteriousness around injuries is something that I just always get tired of.
Yeah, they don't tell you nothing. And the reason they don't tell you, and this makes sense, the reason they don't divulge what the exact injury is because as soon as the player finds out where you're hurt, well, that's where they're going after you. And that's just, that's the way it is. If you got a bad ankle, well, hell, they're going to be hitting your ankle as much as they can to take you out of the game. In that aspect, it's a good thing that the players don't know because they're definitely be coming after you. And so it's good protection for the players. Next question.
Cameron wants to know, how about Jack McBain getting $4.25 for 5 years with Utah? Wouldn't that be great if the Wild had him?
Yeah, I like McBain. And I tell you what, I really like Utah. I think you're going to see maybe us, maybe Dallas, unseeded this year. If Billy doesn't change anything and keeps Rossi, I like our chances to make the playoffs. Dallas is in a world of hurt. They got to move Jason Robertson to comply, to get some money. And how many players do they still got to sign?
Plenty.
Yeah, plenty. And Utah is just loaded. And then after picking up Turka, I really like Utah this year. They're my surprise team. They're loaded up and down. And we'll see. I love McBain. I mean, Jesus, I'd like to have him on our team, but it is what it is. I love Cooley too. I mean, Minnesota boy there. Next question.
For some reason, it seems like free agents don't want to sign in Minnesota.
I see that all the time, and I can tell you this. Everybody in their right mind wants to play with Kaprizov. Just like everybody wants to play with McKinnon, McDavid, or Draisaitl. There are very few players like them, and everybody would like a shot to play with them. I think that's just a bunch of bull. I'm trying to think of how many players have said they wouldn't play here.
Phil Kessel.
Yeah. Also, another Minnesota boy played in Winnipeg for a long time. Their captain. He went to New York. I think he's retired. Oh.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. He's one who absolutely said that he couldn't play in Minnesota. It's too much pressure. Oh, Jesus. What's his name?
Wheeler.
Yeah, Blake Wheeler. He's the only one I can think of that's actually said that he just couldn't deal with Minnesota and the pressure of playing in front of family and friends and all the good stuff. That's the only one I've ever heard of. All the rest, a lot of clickbait out there now. And, I was going to wait till next week to bring this up, but I'm going to give you a little sneak preview. The Wild Digest. I forget the guy's name. He does the Wild and he does Montreal. And he acts like he's a Minnesota Wild, deal. he doesn't have a clue about hockey. And I'm letting him dig a hole because he's coming up with some stuff. Yeah, what Seth and I were talking about before the show, but I'm going to lay it all out one time in a week or two. It all depends on how much more we get to talk about him, because he really doesn't have much hockey sense. What he is, he's a great promoter, and how he does his show is at the top of the YouTube list. 10 minutes or less is actually YouTube's most preferred time spot. And by the way, mine is the very last. Which brings me up to this. We broke another record. I had 1,301 views for the week, which is a new record for me. And I have to thank all you fans for listening to me rant and rave about hockey, because I'm actually believing that now. When you start doing something like this, you don't know if people are going to listen to you like you. But I am beating all the YouTube records by 20,000 views, maybe more. I mean, I expect by the end of the year I'll be at 2,000 views a week. And on your YouTube list, one show a week for 1 hour is last. And because I'm not on any other platforms, it is what it is. I have a hard enough time just doing one show once a week. And I love what I'm doing. And now that I know people want to listen to what I got to say, it just gives me more energy to keep going. Because for you who don't know, I am sick. I have dementia. I got cancer. I got all kinds of shit wrong. But this keeps me going. It's only because of you fans. I mean, really, I really appreciate it. I don't know what more to say about it. Thank you. Next question.
I want to do this.
Okay.
So the Minnesota Wild lineup. I still just feel like I'm going to do something crazy here. Most of you are going to hate it, but hear me out.
Yeah, let's go.
Hear me out on this.
Oh, hold on 1 second. I forgot my beer. Oh, my God. Hold on. Got to have my beer. Oh, Jesus. Oh.
While Denny gets his beer, I'm going to set this up. Okay. Kaprizov, top line. That's not changing. I think you probably go Matt Zuccarello as his line mate. And probably Rossi as the top line center. Then Boldy, Eriksson Ek, Tarasenko to start. I actually really like to start Ogren, Urov, and Hartman as a combination. I actually dig that because it builds a little continuity with Urov and Ogren. Ryan Hartman is not only a shooter, but he won't let anybody do anything to those two while they're on the ice. The fourth line, I don't know. Ultimately, Marcus Foligno is going to play higher in the lineup. I still am like, I feel like you got to find a little identity. And am I actually advocating for Marcus Johansson in over Yakov Trenyan? I might be. Because Nico Sturm is fast. Marcus Johansson's fast. I don't know. I'm letting that percolate in my head a little bit. But you know what I'm saying? Like the last couple of years, that fourth line has just been, okay, these are the guys that can't play higher up in the lineup. You got to have a little identity with that thing.
Absolutely. Well, I got to think about that one. Because, when I gave you my lineup, I really thought about this a lot. And, they're going to put Urov second line center because they have to. to please him. And 20 games will tell him whether he belongs there or not, to the team and to himself. Billy doesn't want him going back to Russia. And that's why I got him penciled in the second line center. And we'll see soon enough. I mean, it's right around the corner. I can't wait. And who'd you have, Hartman with who?
Hartman with Ogren and Urov to start.
Urov, Hartman. That could work.
I like that because I'm going a little ahead. I'm getting a little ahead of the game here. One of my objectives for this year is I think it would be really great if by the end of the season, not necessarily right away, because they're going to give them opportunities. By the end of the season, if we see players like Liam Ogren and Danilo Urov taking the spots in the top 6 of the players like Matt Zuccarello and Vladimir Tarasenko, that's development doing its job.
Yes, it is.
So that's one of my objectives for this year, is to see a little bit of that flip in the lineup, because Matt Zuccarello is he's on his final year. He has made it sound like this is going to be his last year in the league.
And he's going to be 38.
Yeah. He's been very productive throughout his career. He's quietly become one of my favorite players on this team. It's going to suck to see him go when he eventually does, but as long as he is producing or facilitating, he is occupying one of those top 6 spots. Vladimir Tarasenko, as long as he is producing, is occupying one of those spots. If they fall off, if Tarasenko especially does, his spot's going to be filled by somebody else.
Well, my thing on Tarasenko, if we can get 20 points a half from him, I would be happy with that.
Honestly, if he just shoots the puck, I think he could be what that line has been missing the last couple of years. He doesn't have the speed, but he can shoot. He can take some of the pressure off of Matt Boldy on that line.
Oh, absolutely. The thing with Tarasenko is he's got a shoot first mentality, which we lacked absolutely last year with Mojo.
Yeah.
And that'd be a big upgrade. And with Tarasenko, when you got Urov and Boldy flipping the puck, I could see good things happening there. I mean, he could have a rebound year. He had 11 goals last year. But, and I don't know how much Kaprizov was involved, or if, he's looked at his game and talked to him seriously or whatever. I have no idea. But for Kaprizov to talk Tarasenko into coming here says a lot, one way or another. It really does. We'll see soon enough, but that's not a bad line combination.
And I like this from Dell too, is how long is the leash for Zuccarello? Like if his play starts to decline, I don't think we'll see it as quickly if he is with Kirill Kaprizov. That seems to be the elixir. But last year when he wasn't, obviously his production was not great. I don't think the Wild will take him out of the top 6. Zuccarello, that is. I don't think they'll take him out of the top 6 unless it's bad. Unless it's if he looks like the Zuccarello we've seen the last couple of years, just maybe has some quiet games. But if he just doesn't look anywhere near himself, then yeah, that's the point where he's going to get bumped down in the lineup.
Well, the reason I got Zugs up on first line, him and Kaprizov have chemistry together like few I've seen. I mean, Zugs just knows where to put the puck, and Kaprizov's there. I mean, that's one thing that you can't teach it. Either you know it or you don't. And Suggs is very, he's our best passer in the team. And for a reason. He knows where to go. And those two together are magic. And, like I said, I'm hoping we get at least a half a season before things change. But you don't know until he starts playing. I mean, 38 is 38. I don't care. The timer's clicking, or the clock is ticking, and we'll see how he does. But more I think about it, Seth, I like that idea.
Top 6 players. I'm going to do a further dive into this. This is just real crude spitballing for me. Top 6 players, it feels like you should get at floor like 50, 60 points from those guys. Your top 2 lines. It feels like the floor should be about 50, 60 points. Real crude,
Absolutely.
just off the top of my head math.
I don't want any players that don't produce at least 50 points, period. On my top 6, I mean, if you're not producing 50, you're not a top 6 player. And that's just how I look at it. With Tarasenko, the reason I say I'd accept 40 is because of how poor he's been. But if he can hit 20 goals, that'd be a huge upgrade over Mojo and a huge upgrade for the Wild.
Well, and I will I'll give Tarasenko a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I don't think people truly appreciate how bad that Detroit team was at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
And if you're a player that is there and he clearly, he asked out, he wanted to leave because it just wasn't working. They were terrible to start. They fired their head coach. They brought Todd McClellan in. They did better, and then they fell off the mountain again by the end of the year. Like they had just the weirdest season that was 2/3 atrocious and like a 17-game stretch that was really, really good. And that was it. So getting a guy that wants to be here, and let's throw this in there too. A guy that was wanted. There's something to be said about that too. A guy that was wanted here. That
makes a big difference.
That can create that can give you a little juice, a little jump. And
absolutely.
I think if he just here, I want to just I didn't think this was going to become Vladimir Tarasenko fan line, but okay. So his 82 game average is 30 goals, 65 points.
I like it.
If he gives you 20 to 25 goals, Denny, is that a success?
Yes.
I agree.
He only had 11 last year, and he wasn't any better the year before.
If he gives you right around 20 goals and 50, 55, I don't even care so much about the assists because people are going to be setting him up to shoot.
Exactly, and he's a shooter.
If he can get you 20, 25 goals, I'm on board.
Well, he was a hell of a sniper. And he was an elite player until he did hurt his shoulder. I mean, I can remember some goals he scored on us. You had to take a double look. How did he score that? His release is so quick. It was very accurate. He's got any of that left. Maybe Billy got it right this time. We'll see. God, I hope so. I really do. Well, all we can do is wait and see.
Time will tell.
Yes, it will. Any more questions?
Just looking here. Oh, let's go to this from Aaron. Freddie got traded away as the 5th best in points on the team. Sure hope Hines and Billy expect Juracek, Tarasenko, and others to to fill the gap. I think they will. I mean, I liked Freddie as a player, but he was not offensively inclined. I
He
think
disappeared the last half of the season, to be honest. At best, he's a third-line player, and ideally for him to be successful, it's fourth line. Better matchups. I'm not going to miss Goudreau. I mean, he was a good player, and I wish him all the best. But we aren't winning any cups with Goudreau on the team. That's how I.
Sorry, it's pouring out my window, and I can hear it. Let's go to this one. Let's go to this one from Jay.
Okay.
What do you think about Alex Lyon as a potential backup in Iowa, an emergency goalie for the Wild if either goalie gets injured? I believe Alex Lyon was signed.
I think he was, and we signed Cal Peterson.
Yes. The Buffalo Sabres signed Alex Lyon to a 2-year deal.
Yep.
So the dream is dead, unfortunately, Jay. I would have loved that. I would have loved Alex Lyon as a backup, because here's what, and this is why I'm okay with Cal Peterson. If Cal Peterson starts games for the Minnesota Wild this year, things have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if he is able to come up and be an NHL backup if Philip Gustafsson gets hurt or if Jesper gets hurt, he can do that because he's been an NHL guy before. That's what they needed. They don't need somebody to make starts. They need somebody to fill in an extreme, in case of emergency, break the glass situation.
Yep, emergency goalie. Yeah, Alex would have been a good one, but he's off to Buffalo, and good for him. Because Buffalo's a nightmare right now. Boy, I tell you, I feel sorry for their fans. God, I do. Oh, I'm not so sure. I don't know what direction Buffalo's taking. Now they're bringing Byram to litigation.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I mean, I don't know what Buffalo's doing. Who knows? They've been a mess for a long time, and it doesn't seem like they're getting out of it anytime soon. When you trade Peterka for 2 fourth-line players, there's something definitely wrong there. And that's just how I'm calling it.
Yeah. I was pretty surprised that they passed on some of the deals that they did, but Kevin Adams is bold. That is one thing about him. Well,
I used to think Kevin Adams was a pretty good hockey guy. I don't think that anymore. I think he's on his last rope, and the fire's burning at one end. Again, another rebuild for Buffalo.
Yeah. And just to finish on this,
okay.
Any midseason trade target predictions? Vinny, my eyes are squarely on Buffalo.
Yeah, if I could get anybody from Buffalo, it's Tage Thompson and Alex Tuch. But we'll see. The way I have looking at the Wild right now, and I'm going to go over what I expect from this team down the road a little bit. We could have a very dangerous team. Defense wins games. And I don't see any team having a better defense than us. Excuse me, quite honestly. And with Gus Bus in goal for 60 games, we're going to be really, really strong. And just have to see how Tarasenko works out, how Holmgren works out, how Zug works out. Well, we got some question marks, but we're going to know soon enough. But right now, I think the Wild are going to be a very scary team with Rossi back in the lineup. And thank you, Billy, for screwing that up. Oh, God. I've never seen anything like it. I haven't. That, we'll see. Any more questions?
Well, we have hit the hour mark.
Okay. Well, then, is it next Sunday or Monday?
I am planning on being around, so we can go Sunday next weekend, this coming weekend.
All right. Next Sunday at noon. And again, fans, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me rant and rave, listen to my views on hockey. It really does mean a lot to me. As you know, we're the only podcast where I answer your questions. If you think of one, just leave a comment. You'll know it. You get an answer from me. And, I don't have a clue what I'm going to do yet next week, other than I'm going to dwell a little bit on Wild Digest. I'm going to bring up all the futility. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. Because we got to put them in their place. They're not hockey people. They're just good marketers. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's a place for it. But, yeah, maybe next week we're going to get down on Wild Digest. And with that, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.